Good morning and welcome to Early Exchange with Femi Ayodele, Sam Oruoje, and Idahosa Osamanze.
Sustain the industry. So if government does not have much money, they should find an enabling environment.
Now, what are these issues? The petrol is still imported because local refineries are not working.
Does it stop at giving a directive? What should be done to ensure that this is done?
One of the factors being identified by our key persons is the issue of transportation. For you to have a sustainable city, you must have a deliberate attempt to have a master plan.
This is Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development. Good morning and welcome to Early Exchange with Femi Ayodele, Sam Oruoje, and Idahosa Osamanze.
Sustain the industry. So if government does not have much money, they should find an enabling environment.
Now, what are these issues? The petrol is still imported because local refineries are not working.
Does it stop at giving a directive? What should be done to ensure that this is done?
One of the factors being identified by our key persons is the issue of transportation. For you to have a sustainable city, you must have a deliberate attempt to have a master plan.
This is Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
All right, it's another beautiful day, a great Friday morning. You know, the weekend is here. And as we say here, thank God it's Friday. I hope you're excited. The weekend is here. And as you're getting set for your weekend, we are also getting set to give you the best of programming. This is Early Exchange, and I am Femi Ayodele. Today is World Statistics Day. Today we're going to look at the impact of statistics when it comes to human existence, when it comes to human endeavors. And the theme for this year is looking at the data we can trust. So these and more other things we're going to look at today. We're going to look at interior business. What do you need to start that kind of business? As we get set to give you the best of programming for the next 3 hours, we want you to also get set to be informed, to be educated as we are prepared to make your day remarkable. Let's go on a short break now. When we return, the news update will kick off with Afreta. Stay with us.
Three Wise Men. Iconic sculptures and statues adorn major metropolitan cities of the world. In Lagos, Nigeria, the statue of three men designed to depict the state's cultural heritage and to usher in visitors and tourists into the ever-accommodating center of excellence is no doubt an astounding work of art. Originally built under the administration of Colonel Raji Rasaki, designed by Bodu Shodende in 1991 and standing over 12 feet high, referred to as Agba Meta or Aro Meta, the three sculptured chiefs were placed along the Lagos-Ibadan toll gate to welcome people coming into Lagos State. The statue called the Three Wise Men by many has become a major signature for the state. Three white-capped chiefs clad in white wrappers, knotted across their shoulders and with clenched right fists are shown in the artwork. The image's fascinating creative
Factors being identified by our key persons is the issue of transportation. For you to have a sustainable city, you must have a deliberate attempt to have a master plan.
This is Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
Identified by our key persons is the issue of transportation. For you to have a sustainable city, you must have a deliberate attempt to have a master plan.
This is Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
Good morning and welcome to the Morning News Update on Souk News. I am Alfreda Ambi Bassi, ready to take you through the various developments around the world. Let's take a breather and begin after this break. Welcome back. The Nigerian Union of Journalists and Poland Media Association, PMA, have joined a memorandum of understanding to enhance media exchange, expose journalists to the professional dynamics and cooperation between the two countries. The MOU was signed by Dr. Christopher Isiguzo, President of NUJ, and PMA President Mr. Marek Trazik during the Belt and Road Journalist Forum in Beijing. As part of the agreement, members from both organizations will have opportunities for capacity building initiatives in Poland and Nigeria. Furthermore, the signing will strengthen inter-regional cooperation between Nigeria, Central and Eastern European countries. The agreement also emphasizes the organization of bilateral and multilateral seminars, training, and exhibitions between the two countries. Commuters using the Third Mainland Bridge, Lagos, this weekend may have to look for alternative routes as the federal government has announced the closure of the Third Mainland Bridge starting from midnight of Saturday, October 21 to midnight of Sunday, October 22 to carry out repairs. The Federal Controller of Works in Lagos State, Mrs. Olukorede Kesha, made this known in a statement issued yesterday. She said government is ready to begin comprehensive rehabilitation works on the bridge, starting with repairs of the critical portions. Moving on now to some health-related stories. Ekiti State Governor Mr. Biodun Oyebanji has announced that children under 5 years, pregnant women and elderly individuals in the state will receive free malaria treatment and free delivery for pregnant women. These services will be able at all 177 primary healthcare centers across the state under the Ulerawa scheme. The governor emphasized that the welfare and well-being of the citizens are top priority of his government, and it is committed to providing quality healthcare services to all, particularly vulnerable populations such as young children. The governor also mentioned that his administration has allocated more resources to secondary and tertiary health institutions in the state and has approved the renovation of these facilities to improve healthcare services. He expressed his commitment to ensuring that everyone in the state has access to affordable and accessible healthcare. Similarly, Lagos State University Teaching Hospital has become the first health provider in Africa to get the British Society for Antimicrobial Chemotherapy and Global Antimicrobial Stewardship Accreditation Scheme. This was revealed in a statement issued by the Chief Medical Director, Professor Wasiu Lanre Adeyemo, adding that LUTH has achieved her goal of meeting the necessary requirements to achieve this feat. According to him, the body is a global accreditation scheme that sets a high level of quality that any antimicrobial stewardship program must surpass to be seen as proficient in safe and effective usage of antibiotics, adding that LUTH is committed to providing high-quality care to its patients and stressed that the accreditation is a milestone in its efforts to combat AMR and support antimicrobial stewardship. AMS is a collection of activities that support safe and effective use of antibiotics without risk of harm, which helps keep antimicrobial resistance at bay. And moving on, in a bid to reduce gas flaring and generate value from Nigeria's natural resources, the African Export-Import Africa Afreximbank has signed a 7-year term loan agreement to fund the construction of a gas processing facility in Bayelsa State, Nigeria. The deal, worth $80 million, will be used to build a gas plant at the Obama Flow Station, situated in Oil Mining License 63. According to reports, the plant will have the capacity to produce 405 million tons per day of liquefied natural gas, LNG, and 294 barrels per day of crude condensate. And in a new development, Niger State's government has restated its commitment to boost food production through the establishment of a food processing company. The secretary to the state government, Alhaji Abubakar Usman, disclosed this at the stakeholders meeting on Bobby Grazing Reserve held in his office. Usman said the setting up of the company would unlock the immense potential of the livestock industry, attract investments, and promote job creation in the state. Usman said the present administration's commitment to agriculture is very strategic, knowing fully well that the sector is the only sure way for food security, employment generation, and raw materials for industrialization. And away from Nigeria, Gambia's Minister of Justice, Dauda A. Jallow, has announced that the government has drafted the Special Accountability Mechanisms Bill and the Special Prosecutor's Office Bill as part of its commitment to transitional justice. According to him, these bills are crucial for establishing the legal framework needed for accountability mechanism to function effectively. Minister Jallow emphasized that government's dedication to the process by securing the partnership of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, for the establishment of a hybrid tribunal, demonstrating their willingness to work collaboratively at both domestic and regional levels. The minister also noted that their vision for justice goes beyond the courtroom, and the government recognizes that achieving justice and accountability requires not only prosecution but also reconciliation, healing, and restoring trust in institutions. This bill also gives room for the establishment of a special prosecutor's office, a hybrid tribunal, and a special criminal division. We take a breather and return with more stories after the break. Go nowhere. Welcome back. As Argentina prepares for a critical presidential election, the economy takes center stage with soaring inflation, dwindling foreign currency reserves, and the looming threat of a recession. Voters expressed their discontent amidst a severe cost of living crisis shaping the three-way race between the surprising libertarian front-runner Javier Milei, Peronist Economy Minister Sergio Massa, and conservative Patricia Bullrich. Former Vice Minister of Economy Fernando Mora, however, warns of potential price escalation and fears a return to the hyperinflation era of the 1980s. In response, the central bank has raised the benchmark interest rate to 133%, aiming to promote savings but simultaneously constraining access to credit and impeding economic expansion. And now to the Middle East. Dubai Internet City has partnered with German entrepreneurship to enhance startup and entrepreneurship ecosystem in the UAE and beyond. The agreement was signed by Amar Al Malik, Executive Vice President Commercial at Techcom Group, on behalf of DIC, and Dr. Thomas Mark, Head of Scouting and Advisory at German Entrepreneurship, GmbH. The signing will assist German startups with the necessary data, insights, and resources required to enter the UAE and other regional markets. Additionally, German startups will have the opportunity to establish a presence at DIC and tap into its extensive network of industry peers, corporates, potential investors, universities, and public sector specialists. The UAE is Germany's largest Arab trade partner, while Germany ranks as the UAE's second largest trade partner in the European Union. Similarly, the Dubai Air Show 2023, scheduled to take place from 13 to 17 November, will make waves in the aerospace, space, and defense industry. The event, packaged with a comprehensive conference agenda featuring 9 thought leadership tracks, will be held across 5 days. More than 300 speakers will deliver upwards of 80 hours of engaging content that will drive the conversation forward on key industry topics. The event will bring together experts, leaders, and stakeholders to shape the future of aerospace with a focus on priority topics such as advanced aerial mobility, sustainability, passenger experience, air traffic management, amongst others. And moving on, Afghanistan's Taliban administration, led by acting Commerce Minister Nuruddin Aziz, has expressed its intent to formally join President Xi Jinping's Belt and Road Infrastructure Initiative. In pursuit of this goal, a technical team will be sent to China for discussions, indicating China's active engagement with the Taliban-led government despite lacking international recognition. Notably, China recently appointed its first ambassador to Kabul, setting itself apart from other nations with limited diplomatic representation. Azizi disclosed plans to address these obstacles preventing Afghanistan's formal participation in the initiative, while also acknowledging delays in talks with a Chinese company regarding a mining project near a historical site, but expressed continued support for substantial Chinese investment in the country. And according to reports, world leaders attending an upcoming summit on artificial intelligence (AI) may use the occasion to highlight the potential for catastrophic harm associated with AI systems. A press release prepared ahead of the UK-hosted summit warns that AI systems could increase their own influence and reduce human control, while also noting the transformative opportunities offered by AI. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak aims to position the UK as a leader in the field and will lead discussions on the safe and responsible use of AI. Topics to be discussed at the summit include online safety, cybersecurity risk, and the need for human oversight of advanced AI technologies. The summit comes at a time when AI, highlighted by tools like ChatGPT, gains increased attention, revealing both its capabilities and concerns about trustworthiness. And in a new development, UK voters are currently participating in by-elections to fill 2 parliamentary seats that have become vacant due to different circumstances. One seat was left by former MP Chris Pincher, who resigned after losing an appeal against the suspension, while the other seat was held by Nadine Dorries, a loyal ally of former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who announced her resignation at around the same time he decided to leave the House of Commons. Her departure was accompanied by criticism of Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and a prediction of an electoral backlash for the leading Conservatives. The by-election is seen as crucial test for the Conservative Party's message of change and Labour Party's attempts to flip the majorities in these traditionally Tory constituencies. Thank you for staying with us. Finally, Heathrow Airport has announced that Thomas Waldby, the current CEO of Copenhagen Airport, will be the new chief executive to replace John Holland Kai. Waldby's extensive experience in managing a major airport and his successful track record in securing consensus and delivering results impressed Heathrow during the selection process. Heathrow's chairman praised Waldby's qualifications, stating that his achievements at Copenhagen align with Heathrow's long-term strategy. Similarly, Waldby has expressed his excitement about leading one of the world's most famous airports and his ambition to make Heathrow even better for passengers, airlines, and the entire UK. It's a wrap on the news updates today. Stay tuned for more analysis on early exchange. I am Alfreda Ambebasi.
factors being identified by our key persons is the issue of transportation. For you to have a sustainable city, you must have a deliberate attempt to have a master plan.
This is early exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
All right, welcome back. It's time to review the major headlines trending today, the business and headlines, and the one that has to do with national issue. And as usual, I'm joined by the wise ones who are going to provide a better perspective to the news analysis. This morning, I have Sam Oruwujo with us. Sam.
Good morning, Femi. My pleasure to be here. And good morning, Blessing.
Good morning, sir. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's a great day. Today's
and it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday.
Yeah.
Yes,
Why do we always say that?
Yes, indeed.
Because Monday seems like, oh, a very busy day at work, and you just have to make sure you get yourself off the weekend mood and get into work. Tuesday, all right, so you're well settled into the week. Wednesday is midweek. Thursday, you're looking forward to Friday. And Friday just rings the bell of rest.
Yeah.
Rest. So
and Friday is here, so rest is coming.
Rest is coming.
That's great. All right. Let's start. Today is World Statistics Day. It's a great day, especially October 20th. It's a special day created by the United Nations to draw attention to the importance of data. And the theme for this year is connecting the world with data we can trust. I'm going to start with you, sir. Talk to us. What's the significance of having a special day dedicated to the issue of data?
In development studies, particularly public policy, there's a slang that is often used that after God, the next thing is data. Data is the driver of everything for national development. So, and we've moved away just beyond data as data, but now we're not talking about evidence-based data that can drive development, that can drive public policy. So data essentially is the fulcrum on which every other things rests on. So if you're talking about population growth, you're talking about micro and macroeconomic indicators. Data are what shapes our development in a nutshell.
I quite agree with you, because when it comes to planning, you need the right framework to plan. You need the right tool to plan. And one of the critical tools when it comes to planning is data. Yesterday I was doing a personal research. I wanted data on a particular subject, but unfortunately I didn't get it. In fact, data related to Africa, I didn't get it, because most of the time in this climate, when it comes to gathering of data, it's always challenging, unlike in the other climate. Interestingly, I got the data for the other client. I wanted, for the different continents,
Okay, but so, you get the exact data from this part of the world.
Yeah, but the concern also is how reliable is this data, when which is why the FRC is talking about connecting the world with data that we can trust. You talk about reliability, not that data that are being doctored, and that's
manipulated.
Why, and that's why the attention is being drawn to the importance of having reliable data, which is why a day like this is very critical.
Yes, and some time ago on the show, we talked about data localism, localizing data, because some of the data that we have or we use for certain things regarding healthcare, regarding even social development, the indices, are gotten from international clients, are gotten from international authorities. But data localism talk about generating the data locally, using the data, interpreting the data locally, and not relying on international bodies, which seem to be like another form of colonialism, which we refer to as neocolonialism. But apart from that aspect of it, it also helps us when data is generated authentically, locally. You can then know this is the real situation. And then when it is interpreted by local statisticians and interpreted by local analysts as well, and used to make decisions, inform the policies, then we'll begin to get the benefit. Because when data sometimes is generated outside the area of the concern, some factors could play out. It may not actually reflect the situation. It may not be totally credible. And so the reliability on it is just like you doing things without having the exact information that you need. So I think we need to do more in our schools, I know that statistics is one department that some people run from because they do not want to do all of these calculations and some other things. But schools at different level and government agencies, that's one department that I think is very key. We must begin to encourage people to get into that, and it's very necessary that policy makers use data. They work hand in hand with the statistics unit. In Nigeria, we have the NBS, so they often supply data regarding different aspects of the nation. So it's very key.
I agree with you. In recent times, you know, the NBS, that's Nigeria Bureau of Statistics, has been doing well to ensure that the statistics needed for economic planning for the month, especially when it comes to inflation rate or the consumer price index, is being released every month. And then all the statistics that has to deal with national planning. We've been doing that, and I hope they will do more so that at least we can have access to reliable data. Sam, I would like you to talk to us. You know, she talked about data localism. What can we do to ensure that we improve these aspects so that data is available to whoever needs it?
I think the challenge in Nigeria in particular is that we have data, but how, to what extent can we synchronize this data for national development? So the key for the National Bureau of Statistics is to find a way to extend the net of how they can aggregate the various data that are in silo today, so that we can aggregate them beyond the traditional data mechanism that currently exists. And when Blessing mentioned data localism, there are new clamor globally that data should be situated within communities, and so that beyond the GDP as a base of national income calculation, other kinds of environmental factors should be added as indicators so that we can really count for people's wealth, and that wealth, the data that is generated, can impact on the communities directly. So data is central, like I mentioned earlier. So the National Bureau of Statistics must find a way to aggregate this data and find a way to see how the various data that are in silo, like I mentioned earlier, are put in one pool for national planning.
All right, moving on, the next news item is about a third mainland bridge. If you apply that bridge like I do every day, this news is for you. This weekend, you know, commuters using the third mainland bridge this weekend may have to look for alternative route, as the federal government has announced the closure of that bridge starting from Saturday. If I apply that bridge every day, let me tell you my experience. Honestly, that bridge is turning to a death trap. The potholes on that bridge, so appalling, so disturbing, that even while you're driving, you need to be extra careful. Because you have to be careful that you endanger your life. You know, you have to tactically maneuver while driving, because
and
the
this
potholes,
maneuvering can cause accidents.
God, it's something else. You know, this was a facility or a bridge that was built over 30 years ago. Now you expect that the agencies that ought to maintain that bridge will do their work, you know, regularly. A few months ago, closure was done, and you will have expected that it will have lasted for a while. But I'm happy this time around, they now see the need to close that bridge for this weekend. But what that means is heavy traffic in Lagos. Sam, what do you think?
Well, it's welcoming, but it's delayed. I equally use that bridge on a daily basis. Even last week, I was almost endangered. Just a little way that I was lucky with one of the potholes. What is important is that the agency that is responsible for developing that bridge must constantly find a way to do the work early, so that we don't get this level of damage to the bridge. It's just the gateway between the mainland and the island, so it's very strategic for commerce, and people are commuting through that route. Hopefully, if this work is done just only the weekend, and they're able to fix those damage points, then there's a ray of hope, and I hope that the chaotic traffic situation between the mainland and the island will not be so negatively impact on business from next week. But I hope that the work is just done on the weekend, is welcoming. But then the director of the Federal Ministry of Work that is responsible for that must find a way to liaise with the Federal Road Safety Corps in a way that they can manage the flow of traffic so that we don't have a chaotic situation.
Well, it is good that the maintenance is scheduled to happen over the weekend, but I hope that after the weekend, we don't Monday begin to see that not much was done, so people need to still go through the pains of passing through a road or driving on a road that is not so motorable. So I hope they're able to do much. It's a weekend, though people will have reasons to connect from the mainland to the island and that way too. But maybe some persons can afford to stay home if you don't want to get into much trouble trying to get to the mainland, or from the island get into from the mainland get into the island. Use the weekends to
I'm
do
wondering
other
how
things.
that is going to be that easy, because it's the busiest bridge in Lagos.
Yes.
Connects the mainland to the island, and you know, weekend is usually for activities. People want to go out, business activities, commercial activities, social events.
If there are things you can do
Anyway,
remotely,
Femi, there are two
It's a
alternative
necessity
routes
anyway.
to connect.
Yeah.
The other two alternative routes to connect from the mainland to the island.
they
So
will be
let's see if people are
congested
able
as
to-
well. But if you can do it remotely, why not? Otherwise, rest and save yourself the stress. Reschedule whatever you can.
You can, and that's why the notice is coming early, so that
Yes.
you can reschedule your activity and movement. All right, let's move on. The next story is about the Nigerian Union of Journalists and Poland Media Association have signed a memorandum of understanding (MOU) to enhance media exchange, expose journalists to the professional dynamics and cooperation between the two countries. Now, the MOU between NUJ, the Nigerian Union of Journalists, and Poland Media Association is to expose journalists, you know, to the professional dynamics and cooperation between the two countries. Talk to us. What kind of impact will this have on journalists, especially Nigerian journalists?
Great impact, particularly from the perspective of study exchange between Nigerian journalists and those of Poland. I think that will be, there will be knowledge transfer, global practices, and current trend in journalism. We help to shape reportage back home. So I think it's a welcome development, and we need to exploit that kind of study and exchange that will improve. On the other hand, too, those from Poland should be able to see the perspective, the way we report our own news from Nigeria to the world, and that will help to shape information, particularly from the West to us. I think is a welcome development, and we salute the president of the NUJ for bringing forward this initiative.
All right, Blessing, are you planning to go to Poland? So maybe this will give you the opportunity.
Well, not Poland, at least not now, but it's good for journalism in Nigeria. Sometimes that exposure also helps people understand how the profession is done elsewhere, so you're exposed to global best practices, not like the ones in Nigeria don't know best practices, but you interact with your colleagues from other climes, and the training also provides insight on how better you can improve on the job. So it's good that such training, such opportunities are opened up. We'll hope that more of such will open up. Remember a time when, I think it was Dubai, when some journalists were going to be trained on health reporting. So these trainings are very key, because journalism, it's a kind of job that you learn every day. You need updated skill every day to do it. It's not something that, oh, because you've been taught in school or you've been in the profession for years, you do not need retraining. The retraining is on a daily basis.
All right, let's take the train of our news analysis to Ekiti State, where the governor has announced free malaria treatment and free delivery for pregnant women, for children under 5 years, and for elderly ones. You know, statistics show that malaria kills like 2.7 million globally annually, and that's to tell you it's a serious issue. It kills faster than any other enemy you can think of. And Africa is usually, you know, you have more victims because we record more statistics when it comes to malaria, you know, and that's why the governor of Ekiti State is taking that initiative to see how they can kick malaria out of the state, and by offering free malaria treatment to children under 5, to pregnant women, and to the elderly. Sam, what do you think?
Well, that tokenism from the governor of Ekiti State is welcoming, but the challenge for me, for those who operate in the public space, is better to strengthen the primary health care more than this tokenism where you just provide free malaria treatment for children. Is a good initiative, but I think the governor should dwell more on how to scale up primary health care so that we don't get to the level of how malaria has been endangering children in particular, and particularly with pregnant women. So they should have a policy framework in place where they can upscale the services of the general hospitals in the state rather than tokenism for political expediency. That's my personal view.
Aside providing supports, funding for the hospitals, whether primary health care or general hospitals, the main thing is the environment. This is where the Ministry of Environment needs to step in. Sanitation is very poor around here, very, very poor, and that's what gives rise to mosquitoes breeding. If we have a clean environment, if we do not have stagnant water around, do not have refuse dump open and littering every part of the, or almost every part of the city, it will to a great extent reduce malaria. Because if you're not bitten by mosquitoes, you have no need for the malaria drugs. So I think that basically that should be given a lot of attention. It is not enough to distribute nets. It is not enough to support hospitals with drugs. It is important that we also address the root cause of malaria, which is mosquitoes. You get rid of mosquitoes, then you get rid of malaria. So people need to understand that where they live in, how they keep the place is very important. You can't be talking about health when you're not clean. That's why they say cleanliness is next to godliness. We could also say cleanliness is next to being healthy and being malaria-free. So it's very important that we take care of our environments.
All right, let's wrap up this news analysis with the story on gas flaring, which is that the African Export-Import Bank, Afreximbank, has signed a 7-year loan agreement to fund the construction of a gas processing facility in Bayelsa State. I love dwelling on statistics, and the one I came across about gas flaring in Nigeria is that for the past 10 years, Nigeria has lost about 9 trillion naira to gas flaring. That's huge, you know. So it's to tell you it's something that we've been contending with for years, and it's something we need to address. But I'm happy now this facility, you know, which is worth about $80 million, will be used to build a gas plant at Bayelsa in order to see how they can take advantage of the gas resources in that state. Sam, should we be glad for this?
Great loan from the African Export-Import Bank to develop the gas infrastructure, where even experts are saying that gas, Nigeria is more of a gas country rather than, yes. So what is key here is that once that facility is developed and they are able to connect people to that facility, then it will help to improve our transition into gas utilization, which is a welcome development. So we pray that that project in Bayelsa State come to a quick fruition, and the AFRISM must find a way to supervise that loan so that the project come within the timeline that is stipulated, and we can take advantage of gas utilization, particularly coming from that area.
You know, when it comes to a project like this, financing is very important. I'm happy AFRISM Bank is coming up with this initiative, because when you're thinking of a project, you must also think of the right person to finance it. $80 million, that's not a joke.
That's a lot of money, and we do hope that it gets into the right hands. It is appropriated very well, judiciously used, because the market for gas gets bigger every day in Nigeria. The demand for gas, it's increasing, not just for domestic purposes, industrial use, And even now we see with the coming of CNG vehicles, so the demand on gas is very huge. We have very large deposits of, or large amounts of gas deposit in Nigeria, but we do not have it in refined, a very high quantity in the refined aspect of it. So this, instead of flaring the gas and it's constituting a lot of environmental hazards, why not convert it to energy, convert it to what can be used for different purposes? So it's good. I think it's about time. Better late than never. And I think it should not just be Bayelsa State alone. A lot of oil-producing states where gas is flared should receive such attention.
All right. On that note, we have to wrap up our news analysis. Sam, thank you for joining us on this segment.
My pleasure.
We'll go on a short break now to take another report on World Statistics Day, and we'll return to have more discussion. Stay with us. They don't want us to go on break.
In commemoration of World Statistics Day, the United Nations highlights the theme of trust, authoritative data, innovation, and the public good within national statistical systems. This year's celebration underscores the important role of reliable statistics in shaping informed decisions, policies, and development globally. The theme emphasizes the critical need for accurate, credible data as a foundation for fostering trust in statistical information and the benefits it provides. Every October 20th remains World Statistics Day. It is designed to acknowledge the indispensable role of statistics in addressing global challenges, from climate change to public health crisis. The theme underscores that robust national statistical systems are essential for providing the public, policymakers, and researchers with trustworthy data, ensuring the innovation of solutions to complex problems. Trust in data is fundamental in guiding nations towards meaningful progress and promoting the common good. World Statistics Day encourages nations worldwide to invest in technological advancement and data-driven innovations that enhance the quality of statistics. The celebration highlights the significance of using modern tools and techniques for data collection and analysis, ultimately leading to more accurate and timely insights that serves the public good. In a world facing increasing complexity, accurate and authoritative data remains a pillar of informed decision-making, policy formulation, and progress assessment. Trust in data continues to be the bedrock for a brighter future, where statistics play a pivotal role in enhancing our world's public good. Grace Komalafe, Souk News.
Idumota Market. Eko Idumota, once a residential neighborhood, is home to Idumota Market located on Lagos Island. It is one of the oldest and arguably one of the largest markets in West Africa. Idumota is a historic neighborhood adjacent to the Lagos port that facilitated the slave trade and later, under the British indirect rule, it surrounded to exports that fueled the colonial enterprise. Idumota was also the location of an armed forces remembrance cenotaph called Soja Idumota, built as a monument to Nigerian soldiers who served with the West African Frontier Force. An Eyo masquerade statue and a clock tower are also some monuments at Idumota. Idumota Market is so popular that large sales are recorded as early as 7 a.m. The market is made up of hundreds of locked-up shops occupying several multi-story buildings, with some measuring about 5 or more floors. In 2010, the Lagos State government demolished some illegal structures in order to improve vehicular and human movement in and around the markets. During weekdays, the neighborhood of Idumota is densely populated by shoppers, traders, and bus passengers. From the Carter Bridge ascending into Lagos Island, passengers can see the neighborhood before disembarking at their final destination. Idumota Market accommodates the substantial inflow of imported goods. The bulk of import from abroad are routed first through Idumota and then on to other markets through Nigeria and other West and Central African countries. The energy of private Idumota traders and wholesalers facilitate this activity, where millions of US dollars worth of wholesale is exchanged daily. Idumota Market, Souk Enlightenment.
A lot of times, mediocrity is the order of the day. So any excellence trounces that sector and you leapfrog to leadership. Why are there 3 W's? I mean, there may be many, but for me, these are the 3 that guided me. And the first W is what I call way power. Way power for me is how to inculcate and imbibe and explore, learn and unlearn the industry in which you are and the specific function you are in that industry. Whether you're a technology person, whether you're a finance person, whatever your entrepreneurial pursuit is, be the best in it. Show the way. Way power. Why is that key? Because a lot of times, mediocrity is the order of the day. So any excellence trounces that sector and you leapfrog to leadership. The second W is willpower. Essentially, always going the extra mile. You fall down 7 times, stand up 8. And many times people will tell you, Austin, give up this thing, many people have tried it, you are not suited for this. Always say, let me try one more time. Perhaps that was the secret behind the success of the electric bulb by Thomas Edison. Success is not final and failure is not fatal. It's the will to consistently plow along that counts. The third W is what I call weight power.
Factors being identified by our key persons is the issue of transportation. For you to have a sustainable city, you must have a deliberate attempt to have a master plan.
This is early exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
All right, it's still early exchange. As you know, our obligation is to shape policy and advance development with our conversation. Today, we'll be looking at artisan entrepreneurship, whereby we look at the business side of it in terms of statistics, how far has Nigeria gone. We'll also dovetail into interior design business. We'll look at how huge that market is in Nigeria, the potential when it comes to interior business. For those of you who are looking for that opportunity to go into that business, it's time for you to join us, to get set. Maybe you get your pen to take notes, as our resource persons will be here to teach us what we need to do when it comes to interior decoration business or interior design business. It's something you need to know because in Nigeria it's a huge business, there's a huge market for it. The potential is there. Blessing, talking about interior, design, when you look at the market in Nigeria, for us in Nigeria, we are blessed when it comes to skills, when it comes to having the right hands doing business. Interestingly, a friend of mine is into that business. He's been into that business for like 10 years now. In fact, at a point, he was doing 9-to-5 job, because he wasn't getting enough pay to sustain himself. He has to start that kind of business. So a lot of young people too are looking for what to do. And so he had to start this business. Now is supplying, a lot of big multinational companies, even government agencies and ministry are like clients to this, my friend. And he was talking to me recently, talking about the business, the market in Nigeria, that is like, the availability of water. The opportunities are there just for you to come up with the right skill, to be able to network and then take advantage of the market for you to be able to make money. What do you think?
Yeah, when you were asking that the viewers get pen and paper, I was almost saying welcome to class, because this obviously is business class. Should I call it 101 or 102?
Early Exchange 101.
Oh, Early Exchange 101.
Yeah.
All right, now back to interior design. Over the years, it has evolved. Initially, it used to be something people do, maybe for fun, as a hobby. You just have this creative eyes. You know where things should be, how they should be in the home. For a lot of people then, it was just in their house. You get a new apartment. You just need someone to tell you what colors will suit, the curtains, the furniture, the arts that you bring in, you know, all of that. Some persons naturally have this and they can put things together. It looks, they can make good use of space, no matter how small the apartments may look. But when they're done creating, it looks like, wow, how did you manage with the space? And so it evolved from just being a hobby to become something that people professionally do. Now, there are training centers, there's schools where people even learn interior design. And then for the business angle, it's expanded from designing homes to designing offices to designing any place at all, any space, whether it's for commercial purpose or is for residential purpose. And it grew from just furniture, curtains, to even paintings. How do you want to paint the house? What is the aim, or what is going to be the use of the space? I listened to an interior designer talk once, and she talked about colors, how they come about colors. They can tell you, okay, for the bedroom, this color sits well because it helps sleep, or you could have different colors. You could have this particular color at this part of the room, and then for the kind of furniture, the bedroom doesn't necessarily need much furniture. Some persons like a lot of space in their room because they even stay more in the bedroom than in the living room. And then it comes to even hospitality. You get into some hotels and you're just, you know, you're thrilled by the interior design, the aesthetics, from the art on the wall to the furniture piece, how they're well laid, the combinations of colors and different designs. It's a creative thing that people learn, and it's become very, very lucrative, because even the office space, before now, people don't even think about designing the office much. Just have a chair and desk where they need to be, and that's all. But it goes beyond that, even up to the lighting. What kind of light should you have in the office? So it's a very broad kind of business that some persons major in some aspects, some persons are just like, they're all-rounders. They do almost everything, and they keep learning, they keep evolving, and the market is opening up. Before, people want to design their homes by themselves. It's my house, so what do I need an interior designer for? But now they're consulting, design my office, design my house, design my hotel, and so many other things. So the market keeps expanding. And I actually mentioned Nigerians are very, very creative people. When it comes to fashion, we are there. We know how to play with colors. We know how to play with designs. And we bring that also into interior design. We're not basic when it comes to art. We know how to blend a lot of things, and then it looks so beautiful. That too is playing out well for Nigerians in that sector.
All right, that's a great one from Blessing. Let's go on a short break. When we return, our guests will be here to give better insight when it comes to interior design business. Stay with us. factors being identified by our key persons is the issue of transportation. For you to have a sustainable city, you must have a deliberate attempt to have a master plan.
This is early exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
Glad to have you join us once again. It's the Early Exchange, and we're looking at interior design business. Today we're looking at artisan entrepreneurship and what is required to start that kind of business. To share better perspective when it comes to interior business, we're being joined by Ifeanyi Fashino. She's the head of operations and projects 528. Ifeanyi, glad to have you join us on Early Exchange this morning. All right. While we wait for our guest, the interesting thing about interior business is, when you want to start a business, capital is very important.
Yes.
When it comes to a business like this, the approach to it could be very easier, like any other business or unlike any other business. You don't actually require huge capital. You can use the approach, which is part of what my friend told me. One of the approaches you can use is to approach a client. The client, you have your bill, you have quotations, and then you have your invoices now. You can use the client's money, to source for those materials. You don't necessarily have to use your money. So it means if you want to start that kind of business in a very little way as a small player, the first approach to it is to be like a vendor, where the materials that are going to be used for interior design, you have someone, you can supply, and then you make them available. Another approach to it, you could also partner, with a big player who has been in that industry for a while. Because what it means is, as a new entrant, or someone coming into the business for the first time, you need some kind of leverage. So when you partner with somebody who has been in that business for a while, it means whatever you need to get, the person can help you source for them, can even teach you how to even handle the business. So it makes your job easier. And so by doing that, you can now learn over the years, for you to be able to expand your resources, and then with that you expand your network. Another approach to it is, if you want to be a big player, you have the money. You just want to start in a very big way. You don't want to wait. Yes, you are blessed, or you have the privilege or the luxury of finance. You just put your millions into this business, and then you start, then you're becoming a big player. But the interesting thing about the business is whatever approach you use, whether as a small player, medium player, or as a big player, the market is huge, the gains are there, and it's an opportunity for you to make your gain. So it's a business everyone needs to go into and see what's the need there for them.
Yes, but I don't think it's for everyone, because first you need to be a creative person. You could have the money, but you're not creative, so that means you would need a creative person to be with you. And then for you merging with a very big, or partnering with the big ones, it's very key, because people do not want to do try and error sometimes with their money as it concerns designs or anything. So they want to go with those whom they've seen their work, those they know this persons are capable, particularly when it's a big project. It's not you designing one small space. It's a huge project. So they do not want to play with it. They want to go with the big names that they know. And that's where the problem comes. Because sometimes the big names still do not want to work with the small names, because they know that you're a potential competitor to them. But where it's possible to have that partnership happen, then by all means, it should happen. Even if it means that you take in a smaller percentage, but you're grooming yourself. It's like some form of internship for you. And you're also getting to try your hand on big projects that will be very useful when you're able to stand alone. All right, we have Ifeanyi Fashino, Head of Operations and Projects 528, joining us, but she needs a while to get ready for us to talk more about this business. But looking at it being capital intensive, in the aspect of the big players wanting to warehouse some of the things they would need to design with, because otherwise you're not the one producing those things. But when it comes to business, people look at it, how can I shop profit for myself? If I'm buying all of the things I need to design, it means that I'm giving out almost all of the money.
You spend more.
Yes. So some of them get involved into it. Maybe as furniture makers, they begin to produce the furniture by themselves. they begin to produce the art by themselves. So it's a thing that you can bring in other crafts. It's like bringing other kinds of crafts in one place. So if it's just you who is like the middleman or the person who puts the pieces together, sometimes the profit is not so much. But when you get into some aspects, providing some of the products for yourself, then you increase profit. That's why you find that they now also go into it. Some start as furniture makers or even people who deal in large chandeliers for homes and different venues. But after some time, they now get into other parts of it. You find that they now sell maybe flowers, they sell art pieces, they have other kinds of aesthetic designs incorporated. It's now a complete merchandise. And so they also, by virtue of consulting, their experience in consulting for clients come and tells you, oh, I want a furniture piece, and you ask for where? Or what do you want to use it for? They say, okay, it's for an office. How big is the place? You know, client maybe shows them a picture of an empty space. Okay, this will fit, this will fit. So little by little, that's how some persons get into interior designs. For some, it's not deliberately. It's not an intentional thing that I want to be an interior design. But from their practice and demands of clients, they're stepping into it bit by bit. And then they get full into the business, and they go for trainings and incorporate other things. And there are also departments, because you can't know everything.
That's it.
You may be good in one aspect, but you could create departments where you bring in those small players who are good in other aspects. It could be painting. That's the person's beat.
I agree
That's
with you,
what they
because
can do.
the point is, as an entrepreneur, you don't have to do everything. That's where your creativity comes in. Because if you want to do everything, it means you're going to spend more money, you're going to spend more time. You know, it's going to wear you out because you are the middleman. So you can engage in what we call rental and services rather than outright purchase of those materials. Because if you need to do that as a small or medium, even as a big player, because if you are dealing with outdoor events, which is going to be for a day or two, you might not likely be advised to buy those things because it's not financially wise. You can rent them, those materials, put them together, because you're putting those materials together for that event. So if you purchase them, maybe you might not even use them in the
What happens when the event is over, particularly those who design for fairs, when you have some business fairs, you have exhibitions, so definitely you can't go buy those things, because once that event ends, then you have to keep them until the next one. And if you keep them, what if the next client doesn't need exactly those things? So there are those who major in the renting of those things. That's their beats. They do not sell, but they rent to the designers who would need them. It's like the event decorators themselves, those who are into event decoration. A lot of things that they put together, some are rented. It's the big players that own them for convenience sake, and for them not to spend too much money, so they just acquire some of the materials. So it's linked. It's linked. Some of them who are interior designers also do events, decorations and all, because just to an event. If you get into a hall, how do you put the things together? Do you arrange every other thing? But let's talk to a player in that sector. So she tells us how it works, how they connect all the dots, and then when you walk into a space that has been well designed, you wonder like, wow, how did this all come together? So Ifeanyiwa Fashioner, Head of Operations and Project 528, was speaking to us this morning about the interior design markets. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'll get to see your name. Good morning. Yes, please.
So let's talk about what you do. You are an interior designer, and the market is quite large. We have a lot of people coming in. It's opening up to other sectors now, or other sectors are embracing and needing the service of an interior design. What's it like?
Well, I think there's every industry is actually segregated. You know, somebody's doing something everywhere, and I mean, there's space for everyone. Everyone can fly and fly high. So I don't think it's actually a problem. We have more people, we have more spaces. So as well, we also need more interior designers to come in. So I mean, there's space for everyone, basically.
All right. So in the course of doing interior design, how What does it mean how does it take you to create design for a space? Are there different things that comes into consideration when you're designing a space? What are the things that an interior designer should know and be able to do?
Okay, so the thing is, I know we have this conversation several times at work. People usually think when it's time to hire an interior designer, they are just going to change your space into what you don't want. And actually, that is actually very untrue. It's really false. What happens with interior design is we listen to our clients, like what we do in my company, 520. We listen to our clients. We want to know what you want, what you like to have. Then we bring in the basic principles of design. So some people like colors, but they actually don't know what colors can match properly, or they want something, they want a furniture, but they really don't understand how it's going to fit into their space. So the first focus of what we do is actually our client. We have a brief, we understand what they want, know where they're coming from, what they like, what they don't like. Then we basically bring in the principles of design and make everything come in together. So, unlike what people think about interior designers, that they come to hijack your space, make it look nice for themselves, what we do at 528 is we actually listen to our clients and infuse the principles of design to make you have a beautiful space. So that's what we do.
All right. For those to interior design as a form of investment, I would like you to educate them what they need to do in terms of requirement, the basic requirement, the fundamental requirements when it comes to skill, when it comes to capital, and then when it comes to other requirements needed to start this business.
Okay, so for interior design as investment to people, I think basically what you need is the first skill. So you need to learn design as a subject, for capital, because you can start off, okay, depending on what you want to do. For instance, if you want to design spaces for people, basically, I don't think you actually need a capital to start, because you come into that's after you've worked on yourself. Of course, you need the human capital, but when we talk about like funds and all of that, you don't necessarily need that to start off, because you don't need to get the space as a starter. You can go to have people's house. When you go to a space and you see what they do or what they like, you can then involve artisans, involve people that will bring a space into life. You understand? So you don't need capital resources to start if you are starting. Then when you are about to um get bigger and you want to scale up, then you can then need a space. Like for instance, we have a space at what we do at my company, we have a space in Lagos. And that is because we have to come together as a team, which can it depends on what you want basically, but we can come together as a team for meetings. We need because we have a number of architects and we have to work together in a safe environment. I mean, and that's what we do. We have to create a safe environment. So that can be an amount of money needed to start up. But if you're starting as just a beginner, fresh, I don't think you need any resources, money, but you need human resource. You need to upgrade yourself, learn stuff, go for courses, and that can be what you can start with. So I think that's what anybody that wants to start interior design should focus on. You should start with how to upgrade yourself as a person first. When you do that, every other thing can fall into place.
Okay, I feel I heard you mention architects. You have some architects in your organization to work together. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so tell us, what exactly does interior design entail? Because one would think it's just putting things together in a space, but what then would you need an architect for?
Okay. So you don't just put things together in a space. In fact, that is the first problem. If you think interior design is just bringing things together, you're going to make a whole lot, a mess of your space. So, for instance, what we do, where architects come in is, so we come into a space, they take measurements, they have to do a 3D design so that they can walk the clients through what the space is supposed to look like. So we have like a design and we have something that they can look forward to. So we don't get what you ordered versus what you got. Do you understand? So an architect is someone that this is their basic skill. They have to, use measurements, come up with designs, come up with things that you like. Like I said earlier, when we have the brief with the client is basically just saying words, and that's where architects come in. You have architects, they are seeing your words in colors, furniture, materials, and all of that. So we need architects. They are really important in what we do. I mean, really, really important. So we don't make mess of your space.
Now let's look at the market for interior design in Nigeria. How huge when it comes to demand, when it comes to services, how huge? Tell us about the intensity of the patronage and then how profitable this venture is in Nigeria.
Okay. Like someone says, I think I had someone say something like, if you have people, I mean, businesses can run. So as much as we have spaces, we have industries coming up, we have offices coming up, we have residential spaces, hospitals, everything you can think of that has to do with spaces. This just makes interior design like basically hot cake. It's going to keep like the need for interior design will keep increasing as the years go by because we keep having spaces come up. I don't think it's something that's going to go out, of vogue in anytime soon. And unlike before that people just made their homes, just a place they come from work. Now people work at home. It's now spaces are now being multifunctional. So people invest so much in having a space look good. I mean, offices and companies that their staff is really important to them. They put in so much to make sure that they have a conducive space for their staff to be able to work properly. So, I mean, interior design is something that has come to stay and is going to keep evolving into so much more.
What are some of the current trends in interior design?
Okay, so because of technology, I mean, technology is just going up and up and up these days. We have smart homes. Before it looked like it was luxury, but really it's not luxury anymore. Smart homes are becoming really accessible to an average man. So we have everything connected to smartphones. You get into a house and the blinds are automated, the lights are fixed based on temperature. I mean, you watch it in movies. Before you used to just watch it in movies. Alexa, play me this. Alexa, play me that. But now it has become close to home. It's easy to see now, basically. So that's one trend we've seen in 2023. Smart homes have come to stay and they're more accessible. Then prior to now, I don't think we had a number of spaces that were all out to get greens in their space. But because of the eco-friendly times that we are in, we have people embrace green so much. I mean, people are quick to say they're plant moms and plant dads. It wasn't like that before. We just had trees outside our homes that were just okay, but now they are in our homes, and it's not just about being artificial plants. Now we actually have natural plants in the home. Small potted plants, greens on walls, and all of that. But that is because of the eco-friendly system and times that we are in. Yeah, so these two are major trends that have come up in 2023. I don't think they're going to stop now. They're going to go beyond 2023.
All right, let's look at the approaches to starting this business. First, as a small player, medium players, and as a big player, I would like you to educate those who want to go into this business the best method or the approach to it as a small player, medium player, and as a big player.
Okay, as a small player, I would like to advise start with your house, start with your space. Let people come into your space and it's different from what they see. So once you can start with your space, you're able to work with some artisans. You can then go into something bigger. So when we have that, I mean, nobody starts big, you start small. So you can start with your space. You have friends, family coming. Oh, I like what this looks like. And you can go big into that because interior design. as a whole can, I mean, like every other business, it has a lot of lows as much as it does have a lot of highs. So you need to be sure that you've learned your way. So if you're starting and you don't know anything about interior design, I would advise, I mean, now technology has made things easy. You can learn stuff online, basic things, how to work with a small space, what colors can go, get your color sense in order, understand why a rug is placed here and all of that. So if you're starting, you have to actually start with learning. Then with what you've learned, you can then practice on your space. When you do that, then you can advise people, or I mean just intend go to write to the company and try to attend, because you can't learn if you are not actually learning with the space. It's not something, it's not like math that you stay in your home alone and just learn. You have to practicalize, because what you think about something, what you learn, the practice, the theory is so much different when it comes to practical. I mean, there's a time my boss was always talking about an architect that had an organization. He just wanted to design stuff and not go to the site. And she would say, no, you can't do that. You can't keep designing and not actually go to the site to see real life. So if you're starting, you have to, after you've done a lot of studying and all of that, you need to practicalize what you've learned somewhere else before you start collecting someone's money so they don't lock you up. So of course, when you start that, when you start small, you can then scale up. How do I say, the medium? I mean, if you're doing much more spaces, you're already growing. Then when you are big, you can then get architects. Of course, even for when you start small, it's something you should actually put into place, because once you're doing a small space and you don't use the services of an architect, it might not show as much as when you have to do a user space, which is actually going to be a mess. I mean, there's no big space that is done without a floor plan, 3D, and all of that. So basically, if you're just starting small, just want to invest so much in yourself. Start with your own space. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to paint. Just the simple things. Okay, what can I do? What can I recycle? This tire that's been thrown out, who can I give it to that can make it into something? I mean, it's just about the thoughts first. When you can think about it, you can actually do. Then after that, you try to intern with an organization that is working, that is running large scale. It just helps you build confidence and helps you know what you're supposed to do. It just brings you literally to the real life of things.
All right, let's look at patronage. For the things you just talked about, needing the services of an architect, and it's not something that's by yourself. As you grow, you can only do. So how can people afford the services of an interior designer? It seemed like such services would be very expensive. So let's look at patronage.
Well, yes, so I think people actually pay for what's important to them. You know, owning a good house is not cheap. Having a house in the central area is not cheap. So I mean, if you can afford to get something good, you can afford to get a good house that looks good, and you prioritize your environment, like what your space is for you, what your space does to you, then I don't think interior design is something expensive for you to venture into, because it's a service. Aside from the professional fees that can be quite high, there are other things. Furniture is not cheap, even if you are getting it yourself. I mean, if you've worked with Nigerian artisans that don't know what they are doing, they would make a mess of what you plan to do. So when you pay for someone to do this, they literally take off the burden. So like I said, it depends on what you value. So if you value your time and value your sanity and your peace, you would want to pay someone to take off the burden and just sort it out, because this is what we do. We've mastered this, so we can actually um um, give you what you want. Do you understand? So, I mean, I don't think it's something, if somebody can buy a house, if somebody can buy several other things, I don't think interior design is a luxury, not luxurious, it's a necessity if you understand and prioritize your skills.
All right. There are two sides to a coin. We've been looking at the good side, the potential, the profitability. Now let's look at the other side of it. For anyone who wants to go into this business, what are the constraints? What are the challenges when it comes to dealing with people and then putting this kind of business together?
Okay, maybe I'll just talk from my own experience. I think one thing that was a major blow for me was working with artisans in Nigeria because I spent a lot of time on Pinterest, the app Pinterest, and you'd see some multifunctional pieces, a sofa that you can chain to a bed at night, or a dining table that you can use for you can pull out for a workstation. You understand all of that? And I'm like, wow, this is so good. But some Nigerian artisans will show you that all power belongs to them, So, but I mean, I don't think all businesses do not have they don't have things like this. Every business has a downside to it. Like you just have to master. So one thing, because interior design majorly has to do with hand workmen, artisans, you're dealing with painters, tilers, um, electricians, and because a huge number of these people do not actually go to a school, they just learn it as a handwork. You didn't go to school like how you want to study law and you go to school for 7 years and all of that. You didn't do that. So there's a huge gap. But when you see people that this is what they do. They've gone abroad, they studied, they've invested their life. You find them really pricey, and then you actually have to use those kind of workmen for high-end clients because I mean their bills are going to be high. So one of the major because we can do everything right from our end. We can do all the designs. We can walk the client through virtually, and they're all fine and everything. And then one artisan from one state will just come and show us that they are bigger than us. So, but of course, that's what I said. With time, you learn to understand. Okay, don't do this kind of design for this kind of thing if you're not willing to pay this kind of money. Yeah, so basically that's one of the downsides of interior design, having to work with people that are not on the same level with you, especially when you're having to deal with the client's budget. Yeah.
All right, so how do you come by design materials and how does it influence the kind of design that you would do or you get to achieve at the end of the day? What kinds of materials do you source for as an interior designer?
Okay, so well, like I said, basically most of the design is it starts with the client. So for instance, you might have to work with a client that is very they like recycling, they like recycled materials. So because of that, that channels how and where we look for materials. Then you might want to work with the client that want his or her home to look like all these palace styles. And in Nigeria, you might not be able to get that. You have to ship something from maybe Dubai or Italy. Because of that, it kind of like streamlines what exactly we're looking for. So there's no one way fit all, one thing fits all for how we get our material. It's actually tailor fit for our clients. What do they want? How do they want it? Then we then source for it. But I mean, it's just about sourcing. It's about looking for something. It doesn't have to be that everywhere. For instance, we worked with clients that wanted this weaker material, the weaker that like the baskets, she wanted it everywhere for the bulbs. Because of that, in Lagos there's a place that everybody knows. I mean, that if you go there, they can help you weave it and all of that. That means that all the furniture we are getting for her, we go there to get it. Someone else might not like the weaker material, want something else. So it's basically about the client.
I would like you to talk to us about how to blend the right color with the right materials. If you agree with me when it comes to interior design, this is very crucial. So having a blend, the right blend or the mix of color with the right material. Talk to us about this.
Okay, so that's the principle of design. I, it's not something you just learn. I can just explain one of and you just learn it actually happens with use. So for instance, if you have a small room, you don't want to paint it um a bold color because it's going to make it look smaller. I mean, why do you have a really small room and you're painting it dark blue and you're wondering why your room is smaller, or every time you go into your room you are moody and or why should I have maybe like a furniture that has four sitters and they all have different colors and the wall has a different color, and I'm not trying to do a color block because color blocking is also accepted. I mean, there are spaces that we can actually do color blocking and they come out really well. So trying to understand how to use colors and infuse them. I don't think it's a one-day job. It's something that with time you can understand. And that's why sometimes you have color palette. Okay, so can we add these two colors together? How is it going to look like? Or that's why the need of an architect comes in. So the clients want pink, orange, purple, red, green, and she just has everything muffled up in her head. We do a design and work out to, do you like how this piece looks? Do you understand? So it's not something I can just say purple goes with yellow because I mean the times we are in, color blocking is very allowed. You just have to bring it, bring some good balance into it. When you use dark colors, in a space, or use bold colors in space, you're also giving space for neutral colors so that I mean when you come into the space you can actually be welcoming and everything is not just throwing at you and all of that. So I don't think it's something I can just explain and say this is how to go about it. It happens with time and use.
Okay, I know that this kind of job, it takes a lot of creativity for you to deliver. But are there sometimes situations when from the beginning you didn't envisage it was going to be that way, but along the line came a challenge? Can you talk to us about a very challenging job that you've handled and how you were able to maneuver?
Okay, let me see. Okay, we actually have um sometimes we actually have some clients that they actually don't know what they want. So, but of course, there has to be a caveat. If once you started your work, you paid. We told you what we're going to do. Started, you paid. A correction, you're going to pay for it. So we've had a client that she wasn't sure about. I mean, her husband, both of them, they just wanted different things. So paint here. Yeah, no, no, no. I want this color. I want this. Something like that. We have to call them together. Okay, this is the um consequences. These are the consequences of your decision. We can change it. Of course, it's going to prolong the timeline of the project. But so what we did, we just called them together and just make up your mind. We can't repaint this space anymore. Why don't you want it like this? Then of course there was another time, a major project we had. We just realized that somehow my boss, he was not part of the brief. There was an empty wall, and we're shopping for the project, and my boss just felt like, oh, let's get a large mirror for the space. It was just an empty wall that we were not supposed to do anything. But then we realized the client was really not happy about the she was not happy about how we put the mirror there. And we're surprised. I mean, the mirror, you are a woman, ladies like mirrors, they want to just look at their face. So, come down the stairs and look at, it was after a while we realized that one actually had issues looking at herself, like there was actually a problem. And that's another beautiful thing about interior design. Interior design is not just about having your space look beautiful. It does a lot mentally. It can uplift, it can depress, it can, So for that woman, her deliverance literally was she needed to look at herself in the mirror. She didn't like herself. She didn't like how she looked. So she tried to run away from looking at herself because of issues and all of that. But having that mirror was like after a while, of course, it was the bad news period. But after a while, she was happy that we put in that mirror there. So sometimes everything doesn't have to go by the brief, of course, as long as it is not hurting anybody or it is not um, going away from what the client has approved. But just knowing that, okay, this actually fits in here, and yes, I can put it here. I think it's something we do a lot. So, because project ended well after the whole, I don't like this, I don't like that, then we got into the real crux of the issue. Yeah, so.
Now let's look at the issue of paying attention to details. I've had several designers complaining about local artisans about not paying attention to details, which also inform the preference from the artisans from Ghana, from Togo. You see them being brought to Nigeria to handle some of these responsibilities. Talk to us your experience in this light and what you think can be done to change this narrative.
Okay, so for instance, in my company, I was working in Lagos first. Then I moved to Abuja after I got married. And one of my I was shocked, was Abuja stands, a number of them are not as fine-tuned as what we have in Lagos. I can say I think it's just the lifestyle of the city. People are more chilled. It's not like Lagos. Lagos, yeah, you hustle because if you don't do well, there are 10 other people that can do it. But in Abuja, the good artisans are quite limited and they know they are limited. So they 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 will make sure they deal with you, before they do your work. But uh, interior design is paying attention to details is I mean, that is what interior design is about because anybody can design a space, you know. So for instance, sometimes you go to a space, you go to a house and you don't know, you can't place what is beautiful about the house, but you know the house is beautiful because they've done some very tiny things. Maybe for like the shelves, they've used really nice handles that are so classy. You won't notice, you would pass off and not notice that this was happening. But because of this, sometimes when we work with artisans, in fact, a lot of times we don't just leave them on site when we work with our artisans or a new artisan. We have to be there. That's literally what you pay for aside from um that's what you pay for aside from the professional fees. After we've done our part and done the 3D and all of that, we have to stay with the artisans that what we design has to be exactly what they execute. So I don't think there's no fast way out. You have to ensure that what you design is what you are getting, what you have in mind is what they are actually executing. And this sometimes is hard when you're working with artisans that are not in your level of knowledge and understanding. But when you work with people that maybe it's what they did in school, they cut styles perfectly and they're not saying something like, bad now, they will manage it now, too bad. They will not see it. All those things. Okay, because the cutting is covering somewhere, they're not painting it properly and all that. You can't run away from it. Interior design is attention. It's basically paying attention to details. So if it's supposed to be straight, let it be straight. If the frames are supposed to be on, let everything be how they're supposed to be, not be something being tacky because it's not something we see. So it's not something we can run away from. Interior design entails majorly paying attention to details.
Thank you very much, Ifeyinwa Fashioner, for talking to us about your craft today. A lot of artisans who were not getting patronage from people like you perhaps understand why now that they too need to pay attention to details to be able to secure jobs from you or contracts from you. It's been nice talking with you.
Thank you.
All right, that's how we wrap up this segment. We're going to quick break, return to look more on artisan entrepreneurship. Stay with us.
So I've codified the relationship between transformation and its component forces, being vision, team, time, resources, and resolve in what I call the Austin's 5 forces model for transformation. Transformation depends on force number 1, vision. A great vision is imperative to a successful transformation journey. A great vision galvanizes the team and provides clarity. So if we take an example of Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore, he was the one that turned Singapore, a third world country, into a sprawling metropolis that we see today. And he's saying that even the impossible can happen and encapsulate the strength of vision. Clear vision is a rallying point. And that brings us to the second force of transformation, which is the team. Successful transformation depends on a team that is both strong in attitude as well as in aptitude. The team must act with pace and agility, and the team must display a sense of resourcefulness. The team must know the why of the vision, not just the what and the how. And if you look at an example of the Apollo program by NASA in the United States of America and the trip to the moon, there were about 400,000 people working on that project. But what typifies the team was the 3 people, Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins, and Buzz Aldrin, and the resourcefulness and the agility that they brought to the project. That's what we describe as a winning team. The third force of transformation is time. The whole effort of the Apollo project would have been futile if the Soviet Union had gotten to the moon before the Apollo project could make it. So time is one of the critical constraints in terms of the transformation project, but timeliness as well, because we must be sure that the idea's time has come. There were many ideas that fell short at launch because it was just not the time for it. Netflix has proved the point. Amazon has proved the point. The fourth force in the transformation journey will be resources. And whilst resources are not infinite, we have to provide resources in the right measure to prosecute the vision. So the Apollo project was achieved by spending over 25.4 billion in those days' money, which is an equivalent of about 152 billion of today's money. And whilst that is quite humongous, it matches the size and ambition of the vision. And whilst resources are not infinite, the team has to complement resources with resourcefulness, doing more with less. And the last force, probably the most important, is resolve. Resolve is the will to win. Resolve it is that made Thomas Edison discover the electric light bulb after 6,000 failed attempts. And it is resolve that made an obscure team like Leicester City in the English Premiership League win the 215th, 216th league title, despite the fact that they were recently promoted from the division below. The tenacity to win, the will not to give up, to go all the way. So, ladies and gentlemen, in this life going forward, in your transformation journey, see how you stack up against these 5 forces.
Idumota Market. Eko Idumota, once a residential neighborhood, is home to Idumota Market located on Lagos Island. It is one of the oldest and arguably one of the largest markets in West Africa. Idumota is a historic neighborhood adjacent to the Lagos port that facilitated the slave trade and later under the British indirect rule, it surrounded to exports that fueled the colonial enterprise. Idumota was also the location of an armed forces remembrance cenotaph called Soja Idumota, built as a monument to Nigerian soldiers who served with the West African Frontier Force. An Eyo masquerade statue and a clock tower are also some monuments at Idumota. Idumota market is so popular that large sales are recorded as early as 7 a.m. The market is made up of hundreds of locked-up shops occupying several multi-story buildings, with some measuring about 5 or more floors. In 2010, the Lagos State government demolished some illegal structures in order to improve vehicular and human movement in and around the markets. During weekdays, the neighborhood of Idumota is densely populated by shoppers, traders, and bus passengers. From the Carter Bridge ascending into Lagos Island, passengers can see the neighborhood before disembarking at their final destination. Idumota market accommodates the substantial inflow of imported goods. The bulk of import from abroad are routed first through Idumota and then on to other markets through Nigeria and other West and Central African countries. The energy of private Idumota traders and wholesalers facilitate this activity, where millions of US dollars worth of wholesale is exchanged daily. Idumota Markets, Souk Enlightenment.
Did it stop at giving a directive? What should be done to ensure that this is done?
One of the factors being identified by our key persons is the issue of transportation. For you to have a sustainable city, you must have a deliberate attempt to have a master plan.
This is Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
Thanks for staying with us in Early Exchanges about the crafts today, and that's why we're turning the discussion to sculpting as we talk about fairs in Nigeria, craft fairs and exhibitions. Yeah, when we talk about exhibitions, sometimes the mind of people just go only to art exhibitions, but there are other kinds of exhibitions. And in keeping with the discussion today that is centered around artisan entrepreneurship, we have two sculptors in the studio. They will tell us if it's the first love or the second love. The first love, though, is music, I think, and then the other love is sculpting. We have Felicia Clark in the studio this morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me.
And we also have EDW Obelomo, who's also a sculptor and musician. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
I just want to know, I'm curious to know, what's the thing about musicians and what's the thing with musicians and sculpting?
You know, one thing, Jah is the giver of all creations everywhere in the world. You know, whenever you know, gives you something this way, it can attach other to it, because the sculpture and music together, they're together, and there's no way you have things like that you're not able to be a musician, sculptor, musician, whatever. So it's the same thing. Like we have, let me just say, for example, we have art, we have the visual, we have the non-visual. Under visual art, we have fine and applied art. Under non-visual, we have performing art and literary art. Are you getting me? So under that drama, music, and whatever. So I'm trying to say that there's definitely something that I'm going to attach to that sculpture, which is music.
All right, for you, doing music and doing sculpting, I want to know, is sculpting hobby or is it business? for you?
It's a business. At the same time, it's not a hobby for me. It's a professional thing for me. Music as well is also a professional thing for me because of the amount of passion that I have for both. Understand? The love for both sculpture and music. It's been natural in me. So natural that I can't just part with both. They are both related somehow.
Okay, I asked that because a lot of persons want to know how the business of sculpting is going in Nigeria as a craft.
Well, number one, the country we find ourselves, they don't encourage artworks. Things is like you make a lot of works down, paintings, sculpture works, and eventually don't able to buy them. Understand? Because one, the situation of the country, things are hard. Understand? So you've not got the money to feed yourself, but the money to buy artworks. So it's not the way it sells outside there. So that's one issue we have, the problem we have in Nigeria here. It doesn't sell like you are buying biscuits, you are buying clothes. You understand?
Okay, let me take the conversation to EDW. What informed your interest in sculpting for those who want to go to it to learn? And then why do you think it's something you have to venture into as a business or professionally?
Well, to become sculpture for me is a gift. Fine art generally is a gift for me. It's not about whether I just went into it because of people are doing it, And I think for anyone to go into sculpture, you must be gifted. You don't do things because people are doing it. It must be your calling, which has been also has been my calling right from day one. Though I started with music, right from day one. And then as time went by, I discovered that, sculpture, art generally is my calling. And which, of course, I'm more passionate about sculpture.
Okay, let me take the conversation to Felicia. Share your experience, your journey into this business and then how far it has gone. What has been the level of patronage? And looking at the market in Nigeria, what's your assessment?
Well, from day one, I've been a little bit struggling with this business because some of my clients, we do some works for them, they don't pay. They tell stories and things like that. And then one way or the other, we also try to do something to make sure that I get myself known to other customers, you understand? But the way I've been doing this thing for a long time is not something that is so easy. It's been so difficult. Let us be frank here, you understand? Because I just have to marry music together so that I can have other things to move on, understand? That's why I just had to add the music to it. So that's what that's it. Huh?
All right. Why do you think, could it be the business environment? Why do you think it's been so challenging to make ends or earn living, in this kind of business? Talk to us some of the peculiar challenges when it comes to the business environment and why you think profit margin is not as wide as you.
Good. Number one, the chemicals we do buy for our artworks, very expensive. When you buy chemicals for social amount and your client will tell you this is what I want, and eventually maybe you are through with the work, now they won't pay you your balances. That's one. Then two again is that you might want to kind of please your customers and say, let us do this way, one or the other, and they will now tell you some other things different, you understand? So all the same together, it's not been easy. I have to tell you, it has not been easy. We just have to be open to ourselves there because the country we find ourselves, the art business is not moving as we expect it to be. You understand? So me putting myself together with music, because I have passion for music as well as a talented person. I'm a sculptor, songwriter, and arranger, creative designer. I design my costumes, so okay. So I think It's not be easy. I know. It doesn't be easy.
Edith, I would like to have your take. You know, from his own experience, it's looking like it's not going to be a one-man thing. You just have to marry that business with other things to survive. Has that been your experience? And then, what are your own peculiar challenges, and how have you been able to manage them?
Wow. You know, in this part of the world, we are experiencing kind of galloping inflation, and that has been one of the major challenges that I personally have been going through, and any other artist. And that is why when you are writing an estimate, you have to let the client know, come, within the next 2 weeks or whatever, 1 week, if this project is not taking off, the prices might change, you know, because you cannot afford to lose as an artist. I mean, I don't know. It's been very challenging. It's been very challenging for me. I remember this project that I did some time ago. I was even telling him the other time when I just did one. I got some money and I overspent, you know, more than what the woman gave me. And then I was telling her, look, how I was overspent. I said, that's not my business. And when I said, okay, my balance. He said, okay, I'll send it to you. I said, no. Give me my balance right now. So it was like 1 for 1. And then I had to make sure she paid my balance that day instead of compromising with her because she refused to understand my own part of the story. Because after all, she did not pay me on time before the takeoff of the project. You know, and so that has been the challenges we have in this part of the world. And it's been a general thing, really. That galloping inflation has been a general thing. That's why when we are dealing with clients, we are very conscious of that. You know, I still have some on ground now that I just told the guy on the phone that, look, if you guys are not ready now, this thing might change. It might not be on the same price again.
Why do you think, you keep having this development? Because is it that the purchasing power has reduced, the economic reality? And then what is the level of patronage like, and how can, you know, a business owner, you know, mitigate this effect? What do you need to do?
In this part of the world, really, we are yet to get there. The people are not having that better understanding of what art is all about. You know, they don't know that art have a way of communicating, you know. Some of them see sculpture as maybe it's kind of demonic, fetish, you know, fetish or something like that. But if you see beyond, you know, what you are looking at, you see that it's really communicating for good. It all has meaning. Everything we do has meaning. Whether abstract, whether reality, whether sculpture, whether painting, it has meaning. So I think we are yet to get there. We have to rely on you media to help us do that. In carrying the people along to let them know, look, art is very important for our life.
And there's one thing I used to tell people. Like a friend of mine, he said he went to an exhibition or to buy paintings and sculpture works. I called him. I said, Mr. Man, you never bought those artworks. He said, why? With my money. I said, you never bought those artworks. What you bought was the physical part of the art. Because the spiritual thing came from the inner self of the artist. That brought you to reality physically for you to see. Then you bought that. And I agreed with me. You know, they feel I have the money. Let me buy this. Let us educate them. Let them know that art is bigger. It's something you cannot value. But yet, they don't give we artists that respect. They see us do works for them to pay us balances is problem till tomorrow.
Okay, so you just mentioned exhibition, which brings us to craft fairs and exhibitions. So what role does craft fairs and exhibition play in helping the people understand the value, the importance of art, embrace it, and even showcase to them a lot of work? Because he mentioned he has some works on the ground that have not yet been purchased. I'm sure you have some too. So how does craft fairs and exhibition come in? How does it help?
The way it helps is it depends on the artist. The way the artist maybe organizes on the kind of a thing, maybe the way you prepare your things, because the crafts works are things that when you make them and you think is something that's going to be helpful, it depends on the kind of the way you want it to be, because it's not something that you can just do just like that. She get my point. It's something that you have to. The way it helps is that because the beauty of the artworks. Let me tell you, that's about the beauty of the artworks. It's what really encourages people to come and kind of have a feel of it. That's it.
And let me say this. You know, how art works have a way of healing the wound of the people, healing the broken hearts, dead people. And unfortunately, people are not seeing from that angle. These are some of those things, some of these reasons why people should see art, as important as life itself.
Okay, you talked about the perception around sculptures. Some see them as being fetish. Do you think the reason people still hold that perception is because the designs do not look warming or inviting to to those who would buy them, to those who will see them? If the design is done in a way that it doesn't look scary, it doesn't look kind of abstract, you're wondering, what is this? What is the artist trying to communicate? If it's kind of simple, you would have more demand for them.
I think religion, I'm going to bring religion into this one now. Religion is not helping matter. The way the pastors, they preach and all that, it's not helping matter. I remember a guy, the project is still there in Yabatech now. I remember a guy who did a direct cement. The last time he came to the school where he left, where he suffered, I said, how are you doing with the work? He said, no, I'm not doing sculpture again. I'm not a pastor. It's demonic. I was like, what? Demonic? How come it's demonic? Is that what you were taught in church? The pastors, from their own selfish reason, whatever, they are not helping matters. They are part of the problem we have in this country. And they are part of the problem why the artists themselves, they are not really making what they're supposed to make. They are not encouraging people. They don't see art the way they are supposed to see it.
Okay, regardless of ADW's opinion about religion and the business of sculpting, for some other kinds of craft and trade, we've seen those who were in it adapting it to the customer's demand, adapting it to current trends. What are some of the trends in sculpting that perhaps some sculptors have not taken advantage in order to win more patronage?
Fine. It's because most of the works they do, they're abstract works. So they find it difficult to understand. Because abstract works are works that they are not representational art works. You understand? So they find it very difficult to understand or to kind of know what it really depicts. So that's the problem there.
All right, I'll start the conversation with you this time. What informs the kind of design you come up with? How do you derive inspiration from what you do? And then how can people who are into this business remain competitive and remain creative, irrespective of the challenge? Because I've heard you talk about the challenges, but there are good sides too anyway. So irrespective of the challenges, how do you remain inspired or come up with your design? What inspired your designs? And then how do you remain competitive and creative in this art?
Number one, God is giver of all creations. He's the one that inspires me always, every time. So one thing is that I get special on God and I sit down and think about the kind of designs I want to do, and I put them on the paper. Then I build the designs and bring them to reality. Then the other thing you talk about, what was the second question?
Creativity. Maintain your creativity.
Yes, it's just being consistent. You have to be consistent. Consistency, determination. Then you believe in what you're doing. That's it.
Do you agree with him?
Yeah, why not? I agree with him. Naturally, for me, inspiration comes naturally. when I'm on the streets, when I'm about to sleep, in my dreams, when I'm eating, when I'm looking at, maybe as I'm looking at you now, it can just come like that. And then the next for me is to think of which material will I use to put, to express this inspiration. How will I go about it? You know, will I do it in metal? Will I do it in painting? Will I do it in installation? Or how? You know, that's how I get it.
What do we need to do as a society, or what do you think should be done to encourage people to appreciate the art of work, to appreciate arts works, you know, this kind of venture, sculpture? What do you think can be done to encourage people to appreciate it? You talk about the biases, the prejudice some people have when it comes to sculpture. So what can be done to change this mindset and encourage people to begin to appreciate the work of arts?
We have to do a lot of orientation. Governments will have to come in. Organizations have to come in. Charity organizations have to come in. Media, especially media, have to come in like you are doing now. This is I appreciate this one you are doing now. It's a good thing, and I hope it will go a long way to get to people out there to reason, to go back and to rethink, to have a rethink about what the value, you know, in art. To have a rethink that art have a way of, you know, making life better for the society and for all throughout the whole world.
Now let's look at craft exhibition. I'll start with you. How far have we gone as a nation when it comes to having this exhibition periodically or annually or at a season to ensure that artists could be able to network? How much of that have we seen in recent times compared to the past?
Well, now I'll tell you that it's improving. It's improving because why? Then it was just a little. Now people are beginning to appreciate artworks, you understand? There are some other companies, some other sponsors that are involving themselves into such things like that, so it's improving. So that's what I was telling you, it's improving, that's it.
Do you agree that it's improving, you know, art exhibitions and fair in recent times?
It's improving.
Yeah.
It is, very well. It is improving because I remember the other day went for research at Ekpe. That was some years back though. Both Obas, you know, in Ekpe they have two Obas. They were so welcome that, you know, they gave us a lot of gifts and all that. And at the end of the research, we did an exhibition to commemorate the research, which of course each artist that went to that to the research did different works. Like me, I did a fish, this catfish with metal, you know, and it was interesting, really. It was interesting. It's improving for me. It's improving. A lot of exhibition every day here and there, and I think with time, it will open the people's eyes to see that art is worth, of serious value.
All right, are there things about the exhibitions that you don't quite agree with or you think is not really promoting the business side of art? It's not enough to just have artists bring their artworks. What innovations would need in exhibitions, craft fairs and exhibitions to make it more business-like?
Number one is sponsors. You understand? Everything you want to do, you need money. You understand? We need a lot of sponsors to then some other organizations that are interested in such business so they can collaborate together and do something and make the thing work the way we want the things to work. That's it.
Okay, for some of the exhibitions that you've attended, did you find that it's actually served you in terms of patronage? Or you were disappointed, like this did not really do much?
Well, for instance, the few weeks back we had an exhibition to commemorate the Nigerian independence. That was 28th 29th, 30th at Freedom Park, which we tagged Unity Beyond Boundaries. And I think those are some of those ways we can, get at the people. When you tag an exhibition with a very sensitive theme, which of course we make sense to the people, which of course we have a way of orientating the people, for a better future, as one, which of course, because of course the minister for no, it wasn't minister, an honorable came, Tawa Ajayi Lycett was there, a lot of people were there, and they were able to do a symposium to, to pass our message to the people. I think those are some of those ways we can really get at the people to make an exhibition worthwhile. We're able to really see that art is not just for doing sake, it's not just for pleasure, but use it to get at the people with a very strong message.
All right, you talked about materials. Sometimes you work with a particular kind of material and you overshoot your budget. How do you source for materials? What are some of the kinds of materials that can be used for sculpting? Are they available locally, or are they things you have to import?
They are available locally. We have found objects, we have fiberglass and all that. We have a lot of metal material too. Apart from found object, could be metal, it could be plastic, it could be, sculpture is not just about metal or fiberglass or POP, So it could be sought anyhow. You can sort them out anyhow, both from the dustbin anywhere, But at the end of the day, what is important is for you to form something with, for you to form something more, important with, that will pass a message across to the people. It's very important. That word message is very important. We don't just do art for doing sake. We do it to make sure we pass message across to the people. So that's why I will encourage you people out there, when you see artwork, you don't see artwork as these people have started with their wahala, their nonsense. It's not nonsense, it's very sensible. Everything we do it, to get to you, for you to understand the meaning of love, how valuable life is. Art is life.
All right, Art is Life, so says A.W. Sculptor, so he can speak to you about that, an authority in that area. We'll talk more on the craft after this break. Stay tuned.
Artisans are creative individuals who skillfully blend traditional craftsmanship with modern innovation, infusing life into their creations. They participate in craft fairs and collaborate with designers who bring customized handcrafted magic to various living spaces. Artisan entrepreneurs play a special role in creating social value through community business practices. Their motivations differ based on their social involvement, reflecting the significant variations in artisan practices. Unfortunately, there is limited research on artisan entrepreneurship compared to other subtypes. Technology such as virtual prototyping and 3D modeling, which empowers artisans to enhance their creation with digital precision, appealing to modern consumers who appreciate the synergy of tradition and technology. Addressing the research scarcity in artisan entrepreneurship is crucial, and it involves securing funding, fostering collaboration with artisan communities, developing academic programs, disseminating findings, and advocating for the importance of this field. This effort aims to stimulate interest and expand knowledge in this unique area of entrepreneurship. It preserves the rich heritage of handmade craftsmanship while propelling it into an exciting, innovative future that serves a global audience while maintaining the essence of their craft. Grace Komolafe, Souk News.
Factors being identified by our key persons is the issue of transportation. For you to have a sustainable city, you must have a deliberate attempt to have a master plan.
This is early exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
Thank you very much, Grace Komolafe, for that report on art and craft. All right, we still have the sculptors, the artists in the studio, ADW, and of course, Funsho Clark. Thank you for being with us. All right, now let's look at technology. How does technology impact what you do? Are there ways that it has improved sculpting?
There's no way you can use technology for sculpting. Artwork is natural. You have to engage yourself with your hands, your brain, everything there. So technology is for other things. For art, you have to use your hands. You have to do everything. So you can't use that for art. For most especially, we're talking about sculpture works. You have to engage yourself using either clay or metal or any other mediums to kind of present your artworks.
All right. Talking about tradition, if you can't use technology, I know that the skill of sculpting, for some families, it is passed down from father to children. They learn it. There are some areas in the country where you know that they're very good at sculpting. But does that limit the knowledge? And does that also limit dexterity in sculpting?
I don't get you, please. Rephrase.
All right. There's some parts of the country where some people from that area are known to be very good sculptors because it's like a tradition. Almost everyone from that area gets into sculpting from what they see around, from their parents. They learn it. They learn it. But does it limit those who can come into sculpting and how much of creativity they can have? Maybe if a particular kind of sculpting is not common in the area where you grew up or in the area where you learned it, that means you do not have knowledge of how to sculpt or how to do those kind of sculpting.
No, you know, art generally is about giving talent. Sometimes even in the family where it's in their lineage. What about if I happen to come from such family and I'm not interested in art? It's not my calling. Once it's your calling, whether it's in your family or not, you do it. Because otherwise in your calling, you don't do it, you don't find happiness. You might be rich, but you won't find happiness. We're talking about passion here.
Exactly.
It's passion. So that does not even, for me, it doesn't matter. Although I am from Edo State, born and bred in Lagos. But that doesn't mean, it's not because I'm from Edo State that I'm doing sculpture. It's my passion that brought me to it. My passion, because I'm so happy doing it. My music, my sculpture, I'm happy doing it. It's about passion, nothing more. When you don't have passion, you are in it, you will not get the happiness you want. Even when you are making money from it, you won't get it. That is it for you. It's natural.
So you do not think that tradition has anything to do with crafts or art?
It does. Why? Because we have what is Babalawo them and all the other people. they call sculptors to sculpt some things for them, some kind of ugly kind of things. So they use it for their fetish or whatever. But we just make those things, not because we want them to use it for that purpose. You understand? So traditionally they do all this Shangu, all those whatever.
Okay, let's look at the issue of client relationship. How do you relate with your client, especially when there's clash of interest? You have a particular design, an ideal one, but your client is insisting, I want this particular one. How do you mind that relationship where you are able to achieve professionalism at the same time you're trying to satisfy your client, so that you avoid a situation of what I ordered versus what I got?
What you do is, first you have to advise your clients the right thing. There's a different thing from doing something that's good or something that's right. this is how this is supposed to look. This is how it's going to look. Because if you don't advise the cost that they're your client first, eventually, if he or she tells you this is what I want, and you do exactly what he or she wants, then later in future, what did this from? How can you say why? How is it like this? So. But because you have advised your customer, your client for this is how you're supposed to be. You are the one that asked me to do like this. So that's why I did it like this for you. That's it.
What's your take on that?
Well, for me, I think that is the essence of, that's what in school, because sometimes in school, the lecturer will tell you, look, see me as a client, this is what I want. You know, and that's why I used to tell students in school that, look, don't complain, what you ask to do, just do it. Because when you get out there, the client might insist, this is what I want. So, because you have been going that way in school, you'll be able to satisfy your clients. That's my take on that. But then even at that, like he said, as a professional, sometimes your client might not even, because in art we have principles, we have all, all that, the elements and all that. Sometimes your client might see something out of the way totally, which of course you have to advise as a professional. Say, look, it can't go that way. If it goes that way, it will have a way of, negative effect on the artwork itself, and it might give people a wrong impression. People might not get the message the way it's supposed to be. So that's it for me.
Let's look at the money-making aspect of it now, which is the real business. We've talked about the challenges, but of course you agree with me that people still patronize. How profitable is this venture? And then how can a new player or an existing player, irrespective of the challenges, be making more money, even if it means you patronize big clients who you feel cool, appreciate your work? In short, how expensive can an artwork be, or cheaper?
Artwork is...
Okay, let's start with you first.
First of all, artworks, you can't value artworks. An artwork will be like this size, that will sell for £10 billion.
Yes.
You say that this person is my artwork, like this, small like this. You can value chairs, cars, houses, but you cannot value artwork.
Value is priceless.
So it's priceless. So don't go there.
Okay, you may not want us to go there, but let's look at somewhere that a lot of people are going to. Since the advent of social media, the internet, a lot of businesses have moved from just being in shops, being in physical locations, and moved online to social media platforms and e-commerce hubs. So as art, particularly sculpting, as it moved there? As art moved online to e-commerce sites, we have a lot of businesses that have taken advantage of e-commerce. You can order a lot of things, groceries, from where you're seated, and it's delivered to you. So a lot of other businesses have moved there. As art moved online, as sculpting in particular, taking advantage of e-commerce, and to what extent?
Yes, I would say yes, because why? The artists now, they know that they make use of this social media to sell their works and whatever, and then they put one or two things in together to let people be aware of what they have in the store. And to come to what he said, sorry.
To what extent has sculpting, for instance, moved online? How often do you find people placing orders for sculptures, for other artworks?
Do you know why? Do you know why people don't place more order for sculptures or whatever? Mostly artworks, because they've not even got money to feed themselves already. You're getting me? Things are very difficult. Few people are buying artworks. I'm telling you, let us be frank here. Few people are buying artworks. We are posting everything. We post our works out for them to see our works. But few people ask for, instead they ask for power bank, all this whatever. I know what I'm telling you. Yes. So it's only few people that buy patronizes the artists. Almost especially the sculpture is the most expensive art piece.
A while ago, before we brought you in and started talking about craft fairs and exhibition, we had discussion with an interior designer. And from what she said, a lot of things come into interior design. There are some art pieces that come into interior design. Now, of all of these things, and so persons can pay really huge amounts of money to have their spaces designed. Why do you think that people are not yet asking for sculptures into the mix? The amount of money that a sculpture is pegged at, do you think it's a discouragement for people to want to add that? Are there ways that it can be cut down to make it affordable, still very good?
You see, back to where we were before.
Yes, we just have to get there somehow.
It's because we are yet to get there, because a lot of people, they still see sculpture as, you know, something people worship, which is not. It's just an artwork. It's a piece of art that, you know, have its own value, that art is own, you know, expressive value, which of course, they need to go deep and look. You know, I mean, I don't know, especially this part of the world, we have problem with that. And I just hope that very soon we get over that, you know. What do you think, my brother?
You're right. You're right, because one thing about sculpture works, people see, like one day, woman told me, all my works in front of us, this is an idol worshiper. Imagine somebody that wants to preach to me. Say, Mr. Stop this work, this idol worship. We want to preach to madam, not to concern, we don't know that work. Talk to me, talk about God. Come back to that mentality. You know, so I don't embarrass artists. You know, it's just these are, you know, so things like that, we just, because we have the faith in God, that God is giving us, so we keep pushing to see that they can survive.
And that is why I'm thinking right now how to organize a serious orientation on that, serious one. And I think we're going to work together on that.
And you asked one question the other time, that how do they make the money, if they want to make the money. What I would advise them is to do is that artists should start making some works down, painting, sculpture, whatever. So we don't know when people come down and come and buy them. Don't stop working, keep working.
Keep working.
Work for the head, That's what I understand.
All right, let's look at the way forward now. It's not just enough to talk about the challenges. Let's just also talk about the line of action for government, for the society, even for parents, even for, you know, private organizations and investors. Let's start with the government. What kind of intervention are you expecting, or kind of policy are you expecting from the government that will help the plight of people who are into this business? You know, at a point there was a kind of finance earmarked for people who are into the creative industry. How much of that do you want to see? I'll start with you.
Please, the very last one.
Okay, we're talking about the kind of intervention or policy you're expecting from the government to help your plight as a player in this industry. Then talking about the issue of financing, you know, issue of funds for the creative industry.
That is why I would say government themselves, they have their own fault in this. When you want to appoint somebody, you know, for instance, Minister of Culture and all that, and the person does not even know about arts, you put the wrong people in the right places. You can't get what you want like that. Now, the last project we had, the Unity Beyond Boundaries, we tried to get sponsors. Do you know that we just managed to do that project? You know, even up to now, we have to put the works of the students, because it was a competition for the students to do to that effect, that theme of Unity Beyond Boundaries. You know, but up to now, we're still trying to just, you know, overcome that, you know, thing. So at the same time, I think government should work very hard on that. I think this corruption of the thing is really affecting us seriously. And that's why for us to get to that question you asked me now, it's going to be a little difficult. But we still advise that government should try and, you know, work on their policies to make sure, you know, they look out and go to schools, go to wherever, you know, has to do with, you know, and whoever to promote and sponsor this art. Instead of giving money to all these ministers and all that, and they embezzle the money, instead of using it for the right thing. You know, they used to allocate money to them now, but they will not do the right thing, you know. So that's my advice to the government, just to do, to be serious about it, to see art as value for the people, to make better living, for a better life, and then for a better future for the country, even the continent as a whole.
What role do you think your association can play in this? I know you have a group associations where you people meet and you have conversation. What kind of steps can be taken in that regard to ensure that you are being represented and your voices are being heard, then also embarking on a type of public awareness when it comes to artwork?
Well, what I think we can do is that association can do is first is that to make all the many students in different schools, they should have this arts competition. Arts competition makes, when they have all this, it will kind of improve what we're talking about here, you understand? Then again, what we can do again is just to make sure that the association will give gifts to those that are doing well. The association can also go to government, also tell the government that, look, this is what we want to do. We need sponsors, we need to push this in here, we need to push this in there. So spending money on fuel oil or whatever they are spending, which I don't know what they call it. So let them concentrate on talents, understand?
Do you think there's a future for arts, or that there are prospects for sculpting outside the shores of Nigeria?
Wow. What do you mean everywhere? Man, sweet, because they really respect sculpture works, themselves artworks. The white people, dollars, they pay in dollars, Africans, then in Germany. And they pay you big money, then you can relax. But not Nigeria, no, there a lot of prospects, so I cannot count.
Now, since there's a lot of prospects for sculpting outside Nigeria, why have sculptors in Nigeria not yet taken advantage of that market? We have other forms of art exporting their works abroad.
We are trying to do that. We are trying hard. It's just the economy of the country and the way the system is being run. You know, that's why you see a lot of artists, they go abroad, do exhibition over there. I have a friend that's living fine there now, doing exhibition here and there. Because the white guys in the Western world, they encourage us so much. They know the value. It's not like here that we are. Even the so-called rich men here, only few of them know what art is all about. Only few of them value art, you know. So because of that, now we are here. As we are here, we are not really encouraged to be doing too much. I've not been doing solo exhibition for years now. I've not. I've only done group exhibitions 1 or 2, 3 or so. I keep my works, hoping that I will take them abroad to sell them, or online, which I've been doing.
Okay.
All right, before we wrap up, let's look at music, because you agree with me that music, your first love. Music is also expression of art, isn't it?
Of course.
So let's look at music industry. You know, how far have we gone in your own estimation?
Right now, music industry, thank God for how far we have gone. I think we are trying. Like now, you know, before it used to be like you play like the Western. That was my band then. Hotline was my group then. We used to play like, you know, because then when you don't play like the Western people, you can't play your music on radio. But now, it's Nigerian music all over the world. You know, I mean, it's been encouraging for me. It's been encouraging, and that is why, right now, I even have even my Kosiri online now. Just did that, so it's really making wave now, gradually.
Okay. Are you majorly a recording artist, or you do more of band music?
Both.
Okay, so for those who are not really recording artists, how is the market for them? You have a band, you do not really record albums for people to say they're buying your CDs or they're downloading your songs online. So how's business for bands like?
Business for band is not something that is heard. You see, it's very easy. People call bands to come and play in clubs, play here in churches, play, and so they get more money. But talking of recording, whatever, and many people bring you understand, it's not, people don't really go there and buy songs anymore now. they use the social media, whatever. But band, you making more money. You go with your band, your guitarist, your saxophonist. They pay you there. You go. So weekend upon weekend, you keep playing and you get your cash.
So the arts business is something that you can do this, you can do that, you can be a sculptor, you can be a musician.
Exactly.
And then it works at the end of the day for the promotion of the arts. All right, this is where we wrap up the show today. Thank you very much, ADW, for being around, talking to us about sculpting and, of course, your first love, music. How do we know? Of course we know. We know. It's obvious.
We will sing for us. Today's Friday.
Oh, yeah. Jam Man can do that for us.
The Raptor Man is
here.
Melissa can do that for us. Okay, they want to do a collabo behind the camera. All right, we'll make way for
It's Friday. Let's have you.
Okay. That's I cannot talk much. That's why.
Oh, really?
Listen to me. Now, let me give you this one. Kusere. Good don't come easy. Take it easy. Don't be lazy. Get busy. Múra síṣẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́. Iṣẹ́ lògùn iṣẹ́. Rántí ohun tó olùkọ́kọ́ wà. Dodo àti rice. A sì máa jẹ yóò. Oúnjẹ àjẹjù gan mọ́ pòfóró bòtò. Bí olódò rabata. Ó fẹ́ wọ bàtà tí onílé rabata. Súnmọ́ máa ní kò séré ní Moscow.
All right. We started the weekend already for you and Early Exchange. You can take it over and ensure that you enjoy your weekend. But that will be after Business Insider comes up at 10 a.m. here on Sick News. I am Blessing AJ. Thank you for being with us all through the week. We ask that you join us and do this again Monday, 7 a.m. West African time. And Femi.
Yeah, I'm Femi. They have a nice weekend. Stay blessed.